welcome, and thank you very much. Hopefully, all of you are having a wonderful day. And before starting, if you want to follow my slides, they are on the internet. So if you use my Twitter account at Hola Soy Milk, you can follow in your device. And also is to how to navigate or to have the browser with trust and commodity. So I want to tell you that if you are starting in this path, we've been there, all of us. Just imagine you start in a new organization, in a new job, or you have a new customer, and you deliver this code base. So Emmanuel already explained us several terms. So you start with this and you say, oh, this is not as small as I thought. It's a monolith. And you review that and you say, well, this monolith is part of a monorepo. It's a little bit bigger, as you can see. And maybe this is part of several monoliths. And with this new code base, and the one that is in charge is saying, that's okay. Let's aggregate new things to this code. And let's start working. Add that function and resolve this mistake or error. And you start thinking, well, you're kind of lost. And there's so many things that are happening there. And the question is, where do I start? And for sure, you've been there. So let's talk for where do we need to start? So I will start talking a little bit about me. My name is Ramón. I'm from Chile, but I've been living in Austria for the last 20 years. I'm a director of OSS of CODESY. I'm a DevRel, and I started to be an instructor in programming. And I started to teach kids, but now I have some courses and I'm in the front end area, and I'm very excited for this new part of my career, for the things I can teach in 2021. I'm part of the community. The name is Mozilla Teach Speaker. I'm very proud of it. And also, I'm a mentor of tech career. So if you want to talk about this, I can give you an advice. Please reach me. Recently, I started to have some live streamer, and this is a part of my topic. So live streaming, I will never say I'm an expert in this area, but I love it because this is an opportunity to show you as a senior developer that part of my knowledge will not be perfect, and I can prove it. Live collaborates with internet person, and I highly recommend it. I can use it for my job, and now you have the context. I was using, or I like the onboarding. That's why I'm like a sailor in that picture. So I'm part of that, and I'm part of the live stream, and it's wonderful. So I can have the opportunity, because some of the things that I love of this programming is it's not possible to have all the answers right away. So that's why it's very important, this talk. I want to tell you that I've been in this situation very often. So currently, I will show you a couple of tools that I've discovered or developed or learned from others. So we can have this first phase. So the context, well, let's start with an example. So this is the Excalidron project. I don't know if you already know it. It's wonderful. This is a project that allowed you to sketch in your browser, and it's right wrote in JavaScript. It's a very good project. You draw, you design, and I love it because it's JavaScript. The language is JavaScript, and you can integrate it. And I will use it as an example to show you this code base. So the first tool, and this is to install and to launch this project. And there's a couple of ideas that I want to share it with you. First of all, this will be the listing of the project. This page in GitHub, you will see a couple of things, and you can unlock those skills that you need to have for this project. First of all, and the upper part of the right is TypeScript SSS. And with that, I can know more. Then a couple of steps. We need to clone the repo readme.md to install dependencies, start the environment of the development, and then to run the test. And the reasons of this step, that even though that are normal step, that maybe you will have one or two problems, so you need to go deeper. There may be some context under this recipe that the main developer or the manager will not imagine the context. For example, right now I'm presenting from Windows computer, and a lot of the projects, especially in the Ruby and Rails context, are not ready, are not developed for Windows. Mainly as an important environment. However, you can see or review how to research what is not working. So I will recommend you a couple of tools. I love the ones that are in Firefox. These tools allow you to debug everything that is wrong or everything that is right in the context of a specific program. So there are different dev tools. My first programming language is Projector C. I was in macOS, and we have an LLDB. I never use it because I was kind of confused. However, these tools are very important to learn them. In the Excalibur context, with DevTools, without knowing how it works or the codes, you can say, oh, this is a program or this is an app that will run with Canvas, for example. So they are not only in the browser, but in the editor environment. For example, this one, Visual Studio Code, are integrated with a reader. Well, you can do all the debugging that you need. So when you are solving all these little problems, I believe that you will have the knowledge to be a better programmer, but also to add context of how this works. And then you can contribute, or in a suggestions, you can solve this program and to update this app. Maybe there are some areas that are not working. So let's talk about these dependence, because before doing anything else, to just jumping and look for those dependencies. I started with Ruby on Rails. So when I start a project, I say, oh, let's look at the gem file, this list of dependencies. So for Rust, you say, okay, let's see cargo.toml. So Excalibur, also we need to check the package JSON. Immediately, you will have the ideas what you need to understand, or maybe to be inside the brain. So, and I can start programming in Excalibur. Here we are seeing a section of package JSON of Excalibur. We have TypeScript, we have React. We already know all this information. I'm reading from the inferior part to the upper part, and we are seeing, the location, Sentry for the bugs. And with this, we'll have the ideas, and I'm preparing myself for understand all of this. And also, it's the same for script. This section help us to give us a lot of ideas of the expectation, not only to run the program, how also to run the test. If a new version is published, well, to know the steps. And with all this, you will have better ideas how to run all this. And from there is when you start looking for the code. So what I love is to do this small refactorization, little by little. And I'm showing you here an example. This is the file, action select all.ts. And here in the middle, and I see selected element IDs. I also see a reduce and a code block. So for sure, this is okay, but I love to extract a function and rename it. So I deblock my brain and to understand this function and why we are using there in this area. So maybe it's a thing that we can change, like a PR, to improve the integration with future programmers. But I would like to say, what do you mean to rewrite the entire code? No, not at all. Maybe some things, small things that you can improve or propose. Very, very small things to change. And to take into account that the runs, the test help us. And again, to look for this test are my favorite part. I love, this is like a map like this one, that as a programmer, I can see the expectation of that, how this model should work. And then say, if we are going to talk about this part of the code, what is expecting? So everything will run smoothly. But let's see, there's something that we can have this. Why to have this test? One of my favorite writers is Martin Fowler. If I'm not mistaken, yesterday we had something, and this is what is worth to currently to have this software testing guide. So I recommend you to read this text. So test in Excalibur. Let's see these export functions. Right away, we can see export embedded PNG and re-import. It sounds okay. And we can see how this will work. And again, I love, because with this, again, the expectation, but at the same time, if I change something, I'm covered. But let's talk about another test. Maybe not all the code is covered. So my suggestion is, again, to propose more tests and say, let's do it. I believe that we need to do this or that, and it's worthwhile to propose this test. And then when you are stuck in something, this is the next step. one of my most important skills that I've developed with time is to look for this new code base. And this is what I do when I mentor somebody. Let's take this error message and put it online and let's see what happened. So having that link with this error and put it online, and then suppose something that this is the same from other. So let's have an example. Several months ago, I was doing a live stream. I was trying to deploy something, and we have this error 137. Do you know it? Maybe there are people that are working with online servers and you understand this. So I understood this on live because it was a hard time for me. This mean is that the server run off of memory, use all the RAM. And now this 137 error or fail, I will never forget, is that mean, and I learn. So again, this can happen to everyone. And it's the same from the Stack Overflow solutions. I believe that there's like a mentality where you say, this is not a good idea to copy and paste. I agree in the most part of the cases, but to unlock your brain and start thinking of how this work, you can have this Stack Overflow solution. And if it works, it's fantastic. You add a value. First of all, and I never thought about this until now, the license. The license to use, and then is this attribution. What means is you can have this code, and then that attribution, I also put a link to the answer. And the second, to copy, it's okay, but refactorize or to have that time to understand why it's not working and the adaptation, you need to understand what you are doing or to say, I can do this better. And with this, we are learning. And last that I want to recommend you about is to research about the repo in GitHub. I don't know if you know if you are working with Act Native, because for me, I block a lot. So sometimes I say, how am I going to solve this? I don't know if you know React Native. It's a framework that allowed us to program with JavaScript, with React, with iOS, Android, web. And I believe that with Windows, I don't know. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. I'm not sure. However, my example is that I was blocked, but when I look for these issues that what related with us and inside of GitHub to watch or to see the code and to realize how this work, well, that helped me a lot. And two more tools. And the next one is I want to tell you, ask for help. This is very advisable. Collaboration is the best part of the program or the programming activity, according to my opinion, of course. I like to motivate you to ask for help, but also there's something that is very important. Ask for help, but in an efficient manner, because of course you've been there. When I started in my career, my question was, how long do I need to wait until I ask for help? You need to prove things and again unblock part of your brains and maybe when you are learning, you block yourself, but you need to learn. And this is very important. If you wait a long time, well, you block also the timeline, you block your team, and that's a negative part. So, what I learned several years ago is to be very consistent with this timing. This can change from project to project, but my general rule for me is maximum half an hour, 1 hour, something like that. And from there, I ask for help. And you need to be very consistent in that. And another suggestion is be very concrete and specific when you ask questions. So when I teach children, and it's not only to say, this is not working, can you fix it? I need the context. Where do we start? What is not working? So that's the question is, this is not working. Can you review it? And it's very different when you said, I can't log in. Can you help me? So we need the context and we need to share what we already tried. And we have several steps to reproduce the problem so that person can start thinking and to know that for real there is a problem. Maybe there is an asynchronous communication where some member of my team is in the other part of the world, and we can work together and have that speed. Another thing that I will recommend you is to ask a pairing session. I love this pairing session as I did it in the live stream. So this is a wonderful way. I don't know if you know it. Someone is in the keyboard, the other is in the browsing area giving suggestion. So you can have that rhythm and then change it. Even though if you can maybe have like a team, someone is in the keyboard, the other is surfing, the other is giving suggestion, the other one is watching the documentation, and that helps as a teamwork. And with this, the last tool that I want to suggest you today is to improve the integration. When we did some scouts, when I live in Chile and I was in the Boy Scout organization, something that I learned was to clean the camping area before left. So take your time to improve the situation. So new one that are just starting, it's easier for them. All the documentation or maybe a troubleshooting section. So if you, for example, if you are in Windows and this error happens, this is the suggestion, this is the path to correct that mistake. And so all of us as community can improve that integration and all of us can be very happy programmers. So these are my recommendation. But now I would love you to know the type of tools to serving in these new ones. And I would love to know about you. So send me a message in Twitter. But before I finish my talk, especially if you are new in this part, all of us been there. A couple of links. As I already mentioned, the slides are on my Twitter. You can download it. And with this, thank you very much. And enjoy your day.